Welcome back to Great Day Washington. In honor of Pride Month, we are taking a look at the new book, Secret City, The Hidden History of Gay Washington.
Which takes an inside look at how homosexuality shaped U.S. history and Washington, D.C. Here to tell us more, we have the author, James Kirchick. Thank you so much, James, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Sounds like this is a labor of love. You've been working on this for a long time.
Yeah, over 10 years on and off. In the past 4 or 5 years, pretty much full time. So
wow.
I'm glad it's finally done.
What was it that intrigued you about this and you wanted to tell the story?
Well, being a journalist, you always want to find new stories and tell new things and bring new information to light. And the more I was researching, the more I realized that there was no more dangerous secret in this town in the 20th century than to be gay. It was worse than being a communist. It could destroy your career, destroy your reputation. Thousands of gay people lost their jobs simply for being gay in the 1950s, all the way up, well, to the 1970s. And then the ban on gay people being able to receive a security clearance, which is very important in Washington, that wasn't lifted until Bill Clinton was president in 1995. So it's a vast, long story.
Yeah.
Would you consider this like a book on gay history, or how would you describe?
I think it's American history, because these are, this was fundamentally a part of the American story. And the characters in my book, it's every president from FDR to Bill Clinton. It's the first ladies and their relationships with gay people. It's high-ranking officials in Congress and the State Department and the Defense Department. There's a lot of names that readers will know, and there's a lot of names that readers won't know but should know.
Was there something in there that surprised you the most? I know you picked the time period, right? FDR to Clinton. Something in that period that you were even surprised to hear?
I was surprised by the sort of, for lack of a better word, the kind of gayness of the Reagan administration. It was probably the largest number of gay people in any presidential administration in the 20th century. Because there was sort of a paradox there, because President Reagan was in office during the AIDS crisis and was not very responsive to that. But he and Nancy were just surrounded by gay men in particular. She had many gay friends. In fact, there's an entire page in the photo insert of my book. It's entitled All the First Ladies' Men. It's just photos of her and all her gay hairdressers and designers and whatnot. And one of the big scoops in the book that I uncovered is that there was an allegation of a kind of gay conspiracy controlling Ronald Reagan, dating back to when he was governor. And the Washington Post investigated this in the summer of 1980, just a couple of weeks before he was elected. No one had reported on this before. I found the details in Ben Bradley's papers. He was, of course, the legendary editor of the newspapers. That was probably the biggest surprise to me in doing this research.
You talked in the book about the destruction of discrimination, and you mentioned it with people losing their jobs and being kind of, you know, just pushed to the side. We made some progress in years, but compared to then and where our society is going now, what do you see?
Oh, I'm very optimistic. I mean, there's been these bills in some states, and there's been some backlash. But if you look at the status of gay people when my book starts in, say, the 1930s, being gay is illegal in every state in the country. It is a medical diagnosis. You're deemed medically insane. It's condemned by every sector of society, by religion, by the media, everywhere. And then to go from that to where we are today, where we have an openly gay man in the cabinet, which is something that was just unimaginable a couple years ago. And you just see all the kind of cultural visibility. A overwhelming majority of Americans support gay marriage now. I think it's a really, it's a real David and Goliath story, actually, and it makes me optimistic.
I have that. You mentioned the security clearance. What was the reason for not giving them?
Of course, yeah, the reason was that this was, as I said, the worst secret imaginable, and the belief was that gay people would be more susceptible to blackmail by a foreign adversary, right? So that, say, the Soviets might, find out that someone was gay in the State Department, and they would use that to blackmail them. But actually, there's not a single example of that ever happening in American history. So it was completely without basis, and yet still thousands of people's lives were destroyed by this prejudice.
So fascinating. There's so many more questions I have for you, James, but you're going to have to read the book to get it all answered. Thank you so much, and
Thanks for having me.
congratulations.
Thank you.